Food is really crucial. It's important for our health and our well-being, and the way that it's produced and consumed has a huge impact on the environment. People's lives and careers depend on them producing food for us, but we really don't give it the attention that it deserves. When we think about the impact that what we eat has on our health, and we know that the statistics on obesity and ill health are truly shocking. When we think about the impact that producing food has on wildlife, has on the environment, has on our countryside, and when we think about whether people in the food chain are getting a fair return for the work that they put in, then really something needs to change. We aren't giving the future of food in this country enough attention, and that's why the organisations involved in Square Meal have come together to say we need to have this conversation. We need to bring everyone into this conversation who needs to be involved, and we really need to put together a long-term plan that means we can have healthy food, good food, produced sustainably and produced fairly for everyone. For too long, we've thought about food and farming in different boxes. On the one hand, we put health over here, and on the other hand, we've got a separate government department that thinks about environment and farmers, and we haven't brought it all together. And it's really important that we do, because the solutions that work for health, that work for the countryside and the environment, and also work for a successful industry, come from considering these issues together. What's a healthy, sustainable and fair food system? And that's where we really need to start joining up these conversations. We need to think about the health and we need to think about farming together, not in separate departments. Square Meal gives a lot of attention to looking at food policy, and particularly health as well as environmental issues. And when we think about the impacts of our food supply on health, we've got real problems with diet-related ill health and obesity. Something like a third of our young people are overweight or obese, and that has huge costs, not only for those individuals but also for our public health system. We've pursued in this country a cheap food policy. We've encouraged people to believe that they can get food more cheaply and ever more cheaply. And horse meat scandal last year woke us up to the fact that there's a limit to that actually there's an impact on that. And we can't keep doing it, because the problem is that it impacts negatively on health if we're encouraging people to overconsume the kinds of foods that are less good for their health. If we're producing more and more food intensely that's having effects on the countryside and the environment, we're overproducing greenhouse gases. That kind of intensive agriculture is causing damage to our soils, it's causing pollution, and all those hidden costs of cleaning all that up don't get counted when we do our weekly shop. It's us as taxpayers that have to pay for all that. So the idea that some kind of cheap food policy is the way forward really needs to be reversed. We need to encourage everyone to value our food more, to value the people and the animals that produce our food, to help people reconnect with where their food comes from. And it's perfectly possible to do. It is possible to square the circle. It is possible to produce good food in an environmentally sensitive way, and which doesn't cost the earth. Square Meal is full of really innovative ideas that are already working in practice on how we can achieve healthier, greener and fairer food and farming system. But the one thing that's really needed to bring it all together is leadership. And that's leadership from government, which has been slipping in recent years. We need to be able to encourage government to work with all stakeholders on this and to encourage the kind of public debate that Square Meal calls for, to bring together all these initiatives and to say, how can we make this happen not as the exception but as the rule? How can we make sure the right incentives are in place, regulation if it's needed, and just the sheer encouragement to set the frameworks in which farming and the food industry can operate?